Hello! Welcome back to Daily English Talk.
Hi, everyone. We're so happy you're here.
I'm Ella.
And I'm James. On this channel, we help you practice real, everyday English.
Today, we're going to talk about learning English. We'll discuss tips, challenges, effective methods, and how to stay motivated on your English learning journey.
This is perfect for our viewers. Everyone watching is learning English, so this topic is very relevant.
Please remember to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more English practice. It really helps us.
Let's get started. So, James, have you ever learned a foreign language? Yes, I studied Spanish in high school and college. I'm not fluent, but I can have basic conversations.
That's great. What was the hardest part about learning Spanish?
For me, the hardest part was verb conjugations. Spanish verbs change depending on the subject, tense, and mood. It was so confusing at first.
I can imagine. Did you find any similarities between Spanish and English that helped?
Yes, actually. Many English words come from Latin just like Spanish, so there are lots of cognates, words that look similar in both languages.
That's helpful. What methods did you use to learn Spanish?
I took classes in school, practiced with language apps, and tried to watch Spanish TV shows with subtitles.
Those are all great methods. Did you practice speaking with native speakers?
Not as much as I should have. That was probably my biggest mistake. I focused too much on reading and writing and not enough on speaking and listening.
That's a common problem for language learners. Speaking practice is so important, but also the most intimidating part.
Exactly. I was afraid of making mistakes and sounding silly. What about you, Ella? Have you learned other languages?
I studied French in school. I can read and understand it pretty well, but my speaking is rusty because I haven't practiced in years.
Languages definitely fade if you don't use them regularly. Now, let's talk about English specifically. What do you think are the biggest challenges for people learning English?
One major challenge is pronunciation. English pronunciation is not consistent. We have so many words that don't follow the rules.
Can you give some examples?
Sure. Think about words like though, through, tough, and thought. They all have OUGH, but they're pronounced completely differently.
That must be so frustrating for learners. What other challenges are there?
Another challenge is phrasal verbs. They're really difficult. We have verbs like look up, look into, look after, look down on. The meaning changes completely based on the preposition.
That's true, and we use phrasal verbs constantly in everyday English. You can't really understand conversations without knowing them.
Another challenge is idioms and expressions. Things like, it's raining cats and dogs, or break a leg, don't make literal sense.
Right. If you translate them word for word, they sound crazy. What about grammar? Is English grammar difficult?
English grammar has its challenges, but honestly, it's simpler than many other languages. We don't have gendered nouns like Spanish or French.
That's a good point, but we do have complicated tenses. Present perfect, past perfect, future continuous. Those can be confusing.
True, and our use of articles, an, and the, is very tricky. Even advanced learners make mistakes with articles.
What do you think is the most important skill to develop when learning English?
I think listening comprehension is crucial. If you can't understand what people are saying, you can't have real conversations.
I agree, and listening is challenging because native speakers talk fast, use contractions, and don't pronounce every word clearly.
Exactly. In real life, people don't speak like textbooks. They use slang, they mumble, they drop syllables.
So, how can learners improve their listening skills?
Watch English content regularly. Movies, TV shows, YouTube videos, podcasts. The key is to choose content you actually enjoy.
Should learners use subtitles?
It depends on their level. Beginners might need subtitles in their native language at first. Intermediate learners should use English subtitles. Advanced learners should try without subtitles.
That makes sense. What about speaking practice? How can learners improve their speaking?
The best way is to speak with native English speakers or other learners. Practice makes perfect.
But not everyone has access to native speakers. What can they do?
There are online conversation partners and language exchange apps like HelloTalk or Tandem. You can also join online English practice groups.
Technology has made language learning so much easier. What about practicing alone?
You can talk to yourself, describe what you're doing, practice conversations in your head, or record yourself speaking and listen back.
That's good advice. It might feel weird at first, but it really helps. What about reading? How important is reading for learning English?
Reading is extremely important. It helps you learn vocabulary, understand grammar and context, and see how sentences are structured.
What should learners read?
Start with materials at your level. If you're a beginner, read children's books or graded readers. As you improve, move to young adult novels, then adult fiction and nonfiction.
Should learners look up every word they don't know?
No, that's too time-consuming and frustrating. Try to understand from context first. Only look up words that appear frequently or are essential to understanding.
That's practical advice. What about writing? How can learners improve their writing?
Keep a journal in English. Write about your day, your thoughts, your dreams. It doesn't have to be perfect. The goal is to practice expressing yourself.
That's a great daily habit. What else?
You can write comments on social media in English, write emails to friends, or find a language partner who can give you feedback on your writing.
Getting feedback is so valuable. Now let's talk about vocabulary. What's the best way to learn new words?
Don't just memorize word lists. Learn words in context. When you learn a new word, learn example sentences and phrases that use that word.
That's much more effective than just memorizing definitions. What about flashcards?
Flashcards can be useful, especially digital ones like Anki or Quizlet. The spaced repetition technique helps words stick in your memory.
What's spaced repetition?
It's when you review words at increasing intervals. You review new words frequently, then gradually space out the reviews as you remember them better.
That's science-based learning. Very effective. What about grammar study? Should learners focus a lot on grammar rules?
Grammar is important, but don't obsess over it. It's better to learn grammar naturally through exposure and practice than to memorize every rule.
So you're saying comprehensible input is more important than explicit grammar study?
Exactly. Children learn their first language by hearing it and using it, not by studying grammar rules. The same principle applies to second language learning.
But some grammar study is still helpful, right?
Yes, especially for adult learners. Understanding basic grammar structures gives you a framework, but you need lots of practice to internalize those rules.
Balance is key. Let's talk about motivation. How can learners stay motivated when learning English?
Set specific, achievable goals. Instead of saying, I want to be fluent, say, I want to watch a TV show without subtitles, or I want to have a 10-minute conversation.
Those are concrete goals you can measure. What else?
Track your progress. Keep a learning journal. Take note of new words you've learned, or record yourself speaking every month to hear your improvement.
Seeing progress is incredibly motivating. What about dealing with frustration?
Remember that making mistakes is part of learning. Every mistake is a learning opportunity. Native speakers make mistakes too.
That's a great mindset. What about when learners feel like they're not improving?
That's called a plateau, and it happens to everyone. You might be improving in ways you don't notice. Keep practicing consistently, and you'll break through.
Consistency is more important than intensity. It's better to practice 20 minutes every day than 3 hours once a week.
Absolutely. Daily practice builds habits and keeps the language fresh in your mind.
What about immersion? Is it necessary to live in an English-speaking country to become fluent?
It helps, but it's not necessary anymore. With the internet, you can create immersion at home. Watch English content, read English books, change your phone to English, think in English.
That's true. You can surround yourself with English without leaving your house. What language learning apps do you recommend?
Duolingo is popular for beginners. It's gamified and fun. For intermediate learners, I recommend apps that focus on real conversations, like Babbel or Busuu.
What about YouTube for learning English?
YouTube is amazing. There are channels for every level and interest. Watching our channel, Daily English Talk, is a great way to practice listening and learn everyday phrases.
Absolutely. We try to use natural, conversational English that people actually use. What's your opinion on taking formal classes versus self-study?
Both have value. Classes provide structure, feedback from teachers, and speaking practice with classmates. Self-study gives you flexibility and control.
Ideally, combine both?
Yes, take classes if you can, but also study independently. The most successful learners take responsibility for their own learning.
What's the biggest mistake English learners make?
Being afraid to make mistakes and not practicing speaking because of that fear. You can't learn a language without using it.
Fear holds so many people back. What would you say to someone who's embarrassed about their English?
Most native English speakers are impressed when someone speaks English as a second language. We understand it's difficult, and we appreciate the effort.
That's true. Native speakers are usually very patient and encouraging with learners.
And remember, communication is more important than perfection. Even if you make mistakes, if people understand you, that's success.
Great point. Okay, before we finish, let's review some useful vocabulary about language learning.
Excellent idea. We've used many language learning terms today.
Let's start with fluent or fluency. This means the ability to speak a language easily and smoothly.
For example, my goal is to become fluent in English within 2 years.
Native speaker refers to someone who learned a language as their first language from childhood.
Like, I practice speaking with native English speakers online.
Pronunciation is how words are spoken or how sounds are produced.
For example, English pronunciation can be difficult because of irregular spelling.
Vocabulary means the words that you know and use in a language.
Like, reading books helps expand your vocabulary.
Grammar refers to the rules about how words are arranged and used.
For example, understanding basic grammar is important for clear communication.
Comprehension means understanding what you read or hear.
Like, listening comprehension improves when you watch English content regularly.
Practice as a verb means to do something repeatedly to improve your skill.
For example, you need to practice speaking every day to improve.
And immersion means surrounding yourself with a language.
Like, living in an English-speaking country provides total language immersion.
These terms will help you talk about your English learning journey.
Definitely. Now it's time for our favorite part.
The question of the day.
Are you ready for today's question?
Today's question is, what's the hardest part about learning English for you, and how do you deal with it?
Everyone has different challenges. Maybe it's pronunciation, grammar, vocabulary, or confidence in speaking.
Tell us what you struggle with and what strategies you use to overcome that challenge.
You can write something like, the hardest part for me is, I deal with it by...
Your answers might help other learners who have similar struggles.
Share your experience in the comments below. We read every comment.
And writing your answer is great practice for your English writing skills.
So please tell us about your English learning challenges.
Great! So let's summarize what we talked about today.
Today, we discussed learning English, including the challenges, effective methods, and tips for staying motivated.
We talked about the biggest challenges in learning English: pronunciation inconsistencies, phrasal verbs, idioms, and articles.
We discussed the 4 main skills: listening, speaking, reading, and writing, and how to improve each one.
We shared tips like watching English content, practicing speaking daily, reading at your level, and keeping a journal.
We talked about vocabulary learning strategies like learning words in context and using spaced repetition.
We emphasize that making mistakes is part of learning and that communication is more important than perfection.
We discussed motivation strategies like setting specific goals, tracking progress, and practicing consistently every day.
And we learned useful vocabulary like fluent, native speaker, pronunciation, vocabulary, grammar, comprehension, practice, and immersion.
We hope this conversation gives you helpful strategies for your English learning journey.
Remember, learning a language takes time. Be patient with yourself and celebrate small victories along the way.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up.
And don't forget to subscribe to our channel, Daily English Talk, and turn on notifications.
We create new English conversations every week to help you practice real, everyday English.
So from both of us,
Keep learning, keep practicing, and never give up on your English journey.
goodbye.
Bye, everyone!